Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Nour Elborno from Gaza, Palestine, and this is the beginning of a series of lectures on how to produce academic texts. And this series is going to help you with, if you're preparing for your IELTS test, it's going to be good for you. Well, let's get started. I don't like long introductions. But what's going to happen is that every week I'll be uploading 1 or 2 videos in the series. We're going to start from the very beginning and go along the entire process of writing academically. Now, when we think of writing, we think that it's just, you know, having a pen and a paper, or now having your computer and then you just start writing. Here's the thing, it doesn't start that way. So we don't start with writing. There is a whole process that happens before actual writing. Now, if you're a native speaker, then it's easier for you because you already have information in the language that you're writing in. So it's like I write in English, and I'm a native English speaker. So I already have the information that I need to speak about in that language. But if you're an Arab speaker, or if you're an Italian speaker, or you're, I don't know, Chinese, or any other nationality that is out there, you're going to need to learn about the topic that you're writing about in the language you're writing in. So if I'm writing in English, I need to read about that particular topic in that particular language because I need the information to be worded in the language I'm using. So if we talk about writing, like we said, of course, it's a process. Good. So it's done step by step. So it consists of steps. Now, the very first step, like I mentioned, is what we call, or what happens in pre-writing mode. So before we start writing, we're going to need to do the following. A, you need to read. You need to read a lot. And why is that? As I mentioned, we need, like, I know the information in the language or in my native language. If I want to write about global warming, I have information in Arabic, well, relative information in Arabic about that topic. So I can talk about it freely without having any problems. But if I want to talk about it in a different language, that is English, I don't have the information in that language. I don't have the words, I don't have the terms, I don't have the style. So it is very important that if I want to write about the topic, I need to read about the topic. So if you're doing it as an assignment at the university, for example, and the lecturer gives you a topic for academic writing, he says, you need to write a comparative essay about so-and-so. Don't go and write, and don't go and copy from the internet. Just go and read about the topics. You deduce from what you read the things that you're going to talk about. And that's the only way for you to come up with a good piece of writing. So please remember that for you to write well, you need to read a lot. So what do I do while reading? That's another process, but basically you need to take notes. Take notes and make sure that you keep record of all the sources you use. Now, throughout your writing, if you want to write good stuff, you're going to need to use other sources. Secondary sources are important because they help you pinpoint ideas that you haven't thought of. And they also give credit to your own ideas. Because if someone else agrees with me on a certain matter, then my matter is worth taking note of. Now, we're going to talk about how to make use of these sources in the actual process of writing. But remember that while reading, you need to take notes and keep record of all the sources that you use. And then you need to make sure that you try to, what they say, brainstorm. Some people claim that brainstorming happens at the very beginning. No, it doesn't happen at the very beginning. What happens at the very beginning is reading. Then you come to brainstorming after you have collected a sufficient amount of information. Then you start thinking about which angle you want to address. How do I decide on the angle I want to focus on or the perspective I want to focus on? What you do is that you see the amount of evidence you have. Do I have enough evidence to discuss these points? If yes, then go ahead and choose that perspective. If not, it's going to be troubling for you and you're going to be doing a lot of irrelevant writing. And that's something we're also going to talk about during the actual writing process, inshallah. So you need to remember that when you brainstorm, you decide on the perspective, and at the same time, you want to make sure that you have enough evidence to support your claims. Why do we say this? Because basically when we write, we either write to inform, to persuade, to influence. Whether it is to inform, to persuade, or to influence, you're going to need evidence. You're going to need figures. You're going to need other people who are high profile and who can support your claims. Now, we're going to go in detail. I don't want to make the videos long. I want to make them short so that you don't feel bored while watching them. But if we could get out of one important thing from this very short video is that you have to always read before you start writing, or else you're not going to be doing a good job. You're either going to be repeating what other people are saying, or you're just going to go over the surface without going into like the depth of the topic that you're discussing. And I always tell my students that if you're writing about poverty, for example, so the teacher assigns you to write about poverty, and the first thing that comes to our mind is unemployment or the government's responsibility or the siege that we go through here in Gaza. Now, if you go and read about poverty, you're going to know and notice other areas that cause poverty, areas that you would have not thought of or written about if you had not seen these websites and read about these topics. So again, read, take notes, keep record of the sources you use because you're going to need to cite your own sources, and we're going to mention this inshallah. And then you brainstorm, then you decide on the perspective, the main ideas, the main points, and you need to make sure that you have enough evidence to support your claims. And remember, we write to inform, persuade, or to influence. In either way, you're going to need to support your claims with evidence. Assalamu alaikum, and see you in another video.